Waiting on God's timing does not mean passive delay. It means active preparation. It means building your character, sharpening your skills, growing in your leadership, becoming the person who can sustain the promise, expanding your tent pegs, expanding your capacity. Hey friend, welcome back to Prophetic Breakthrough for Christian Women. This is Amy, your life coach. Have you ever known that God has called you to something and at the exact same time you felt completely unqualified for it? Like, you know it's Him, but you're still asking, who am I? What if I fail? What if they don't believe me? I am totally unqualified for this. Today we're going to expose 3 lies that keep Christian women stuck in imposter syndrome: inadequacy, doubt, and fear. And we're going to take a look at Moses and David because neither one of them stepped into their calling without wrestling first. And if you've been telling yourself you're waiting on clarity before you step forward, I want to gently challenge that today. Let's dive in. Do you want to step into the calling God gave you and dream big again with Him, but feel stuck, buried in doubt, and constantly pulled under by the chaos of everyday life? Hey, I'm Amy, Christian life coach, girl mom, and wilderness season survivor. I help women gain confidence in their calling through spirit-led coaching and prophetic insight, because that's what finally changed everything for me. If you're ready for the confidence to move forward so you can get unstuck, grab a pen and some paper, silence the what's for dinner mental loop, and pop in those earbuds. Let's go. Before we go any further, I need to say something that might sting a little bit. Clarity does not usually come before action. Clarity comes with action. Now, yes, there are seasons where we wait on God's timing, but waiting on God's timing does not mean that we stop moving. It doesn't mean that we sit back and twiddle our thumbs and say, well, I just have to wait until I feel ready. Because most of the time, you will never feel ready. And if you keep asking God for a sign or directions or more clarity, but you haven't done the last thing that He told you to do, that's not confusion. That's hesitation and disobedience or delayed obedience. That's why I created the Your Next Step Breakthrough Coaching sessions, because sometimes you don't need more confirmation. You need clarity around what's already been spoken, and you need someone to help you identify the hesitation and map out the next move. If that's you, let's book it today. You can go to amywadlington.com/coaching. That's amywadlington.com/coaching. And I will put it in the show notes. All right, let's talk about imposter syndrome. Now, before we dive in, I want to tell you a personal story. I remember this night so clearly. I was laying in bed one night and I was reading Jeremiah. I hadn't read the entire Bible yet, and I didn't quite understand how the Old Testament all fit together in with the New Testament and how it all was one big story. But I was reading about how Jeremiah was saying, I'm too young. I don't know how to speak. And he was giving God excuses about why he couldn't do what God was calling him to do. And I was thinking about how often we disqualify ourselves. And then, clear as day, not audibly, but in my spirit, I heard God say, you are a Jeremiah. I am calling you as a prophet to the nations. This was probably about 15 years ago or so. And my first thought was not, wow, amazing. Okay, God, let's do this. It was, I don't even have a passport and I don't like to travel. Prophet to the nations, that sounds really big. That sounds really heavy. And it sounds like something I'm not sure that I want to carry. Because having the gift of prophecy and standing in the office of prophet are 2 completely different things. One is a gift, the other is a really big responsibility. And immediately I started questioning, who am I? Will people even believe me? Will they think I'm crazy? Am I making all of this up in my head? Does that sound familiar? So I went to my pastor. I walked up to her that Sunday morning and I said, God told me that I'm called as a prophet to the nations. He said, I am a Jeremiah. And she just smiled and said, oh, I'm not surprised, in her sweet tone that she always has. And I think that she knew before I did. And here's what's really important is that I was not immediately sent out publicly. For 10 to 15 years, I practiced inside the church walls. I prophesied, I submitted to leadership, I was corrected, I built character, I learned about restraint, I learned about timing. I learned humility. It was all preparation. And then years later, my podcast coach started pulling the prophetic out of me in my business. She saw the piece that I couldn't see. And before I even told church leadership what was happening, they laid hands on me and they sent me out as a prophet to the nations. And now I still don't travel very much. I still don't have my passport, but I have a top 2.5% globally ranked podcast, listeners in over 40 nations. Isn't God cool? But here's the key. I didn't sit around waiting to feel qualified. And that's where Moses comes in. When God called Moses in Exodus, Moses gave God 5 objections, but they really fell into 3 categories. And I want you to listen closely because you'll probably hear yourself in this. The 3 lies that Moses believed was his inadequacy, which asks, who am I? And there was some doubt in there, which says, what if they don't believe me? And fear, which whispers, please just send someone else, not me. So let's start with the first one. Who am I? Moses literally says, who am I that I should go to the Pharaoh? That's identity insecurity. And here's what's interesting. God does not respond by listing Moses's qualifications. He responds by saying, I will be with you. Prophetic truth number 1, identity precedes clarity. You are not called because you are qualified. You are qualified because you are called. Your authority flows through Christ. You operate in a delegated authority. When you keep asking, who am I? You're focusing on your resume. God is focused on your identity. And sometimes the real issue isn't getting more clarity. It's that you don't fully believe who you are in Him. So that's a really good place to start, is figuring out your identity and really believing it and having faith that when God says, this is who I have called you to be, that you believe it and you step into it. And the second lie that we believe is, what if they don't believe in me? It's doubt. Then Moses says, what if they don't believe me? And this is where we start managing perception. What if they don't see it? What if they misunderstand me? What if I fail publicly? That would be so embarrassing. And sometimes, if we're honest, we don't just doubt other people, we doubt ourselves, and sometimes we even doubt God. Prophetic truth number 2, obedience is your responsibility. Outcome is God's. You are not responsible for convincing anyone. You are responsible for saying yes. That's it. Yes to God. God reveals His name to Moses. I am who I am. In other words, stop staring at yourself and look at Him. If God has spoken, the weight of the outcome does not sit on your shoulders. Period. Okay, the third one is fear. Send someone else. Please, Lord, just send someone else, not me. I don't want to do it. And then Moses says what we have all said at some point. Please just send someone else, anyone but me. He says he's not eloquent. He says that he's slow of speech, fear disguised as humility. And here's what we all do. We call it wisdom. We call it waiting on God. We call it being cautious. But sometimes it's just fear. Prophetic truth number 3 is fear doesn't mean stop. It means step forward with courage. Clarity does not remove fear. Any clarity that you're going to get, it's not going to remove that fear that you have. Action builds clarity, and that's why we have courage, is we have to have courage. God says, do not be afraid. So many times throughout the Bible, I've heard 365 times, but I've never counted. But we have to have courage. And doesn't mean that there's not going to be fear. It just means step out even in fear. And notice this, God even provides Aaron to help Moses speak. Sometimes God will meet you halfway, but He still expects movement. Now, I want to talk about David, because this is where so many people misunderstand waiting on God. David was anointed king while he was still a shepherd boy. In God's eyes, he was king. But in reality, in the world that he was living in his family's eyes, in everybody else's eyes, he was still tending sheep. So what did he do? Did he sit around and say, well, I'm anointed, so now I'm just going to wait on God's timing, because God's timing is always right on time. God's timing is always perfect. Those things are true, but he didn't do that. He fought lions, he fought bears, he faced Goliath, he served Saul. He ran for his life from Saul when Saul was trying to kill him. He led a group of broken, drunken men who later became mighty warriors. That didn't happen overnight. That was progression. He became king of Judah before he became king of Israel. He was king, and he got a partial fulfillment before the fullness of his fulfillment. That was hard to say. Waiting on God's timing does not mean passive delay. It means active preparation. It means building your character, sharpening your skills, growing in your leadership, becoming the person who can sustain the promise, expanding your tent pegs, expanding your capacity. You might be anointed, but you're still shepherding. And that doesn't mean that the promise failed or that you have to sit around and wait for God. It means that you are becoming and that you are being equipped, that you are being who God has called and created you to be, one step at a time. So let's pull this all together. The 3 lies that we sometimes believe when there is imposter syndrome is inadequacy, which is basically saying, who am I to do this? And then there's doubt, which says, what if they don't believe me? Or what if I don't believe in myself? Or you have doubt in God. And then there's fear, which whispers, please just send someone else. I don't want to do this. And the 3 prophetic truths that crush imposter syndrome are this: identity precedes clarity. Your obedience is your job. The outcome is God's. And courage grows through action. And David shows us that waiting on God doesn't mean doing nothing. It means building while you wait, preparing while you wait, and becoming while you wait. Now, if you know that God has spoken over you and that you have been anointed for your calling, but you keep hesitating, I want you to think about booking a Your Next Step breakthrough coaching session with me. Let's identify what is holding you back and keeping you stuck, and let's map the move forward. Join my insider email list for weekly encouragement and come join us in Life Coaching for Christian Women on Facebook. I will put the link for all 3 of those in the show notes. And I want to leave you with this. Stop hiding behind, I just need more clarity, or God, I need a sign. Yes, God's timing is perfect. Always. It's always perfect. But while you wait on his timing, you move, you prepare, you step. You never see a waiter at a restaurant sitting around and waiting. He's actually serving while he's waiting. Clarity always comes with action. Okay, friend, until next time. That's it for today, friend. I pray that this episode blessed you or stretched you in all the right ways. If it did, would you please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts? It truly lights me up to know that this show is helping you, and your reviews help other women find the clarity that they've been praying for. All right, go clean off that pile of laundry from the treadmill or the chair or whatever piece of furniture it's currently living on, and I'll see you back here soon for another episode. Bye for now.